This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. When something is trending, we know that there's an agenda behind it because organically, things don't trend. Once in a while, they might throw something in there that's completely useless and pointless and it's trending, but that's also trending by design to keep people distracted from what's really going on. So when we see the term Antarctica trending, we should all perk up and say, why is Antarctica trending? Well, of course, Antarctica's trending, not for the reasons it should be trending, like asking questions about the Antarctic Treaty, about what's really going on in Antarctica, how all the countries of the earth all happen to have stake in Antarctica to keep things hidden from the masses. No, of course not. Nobody wants to ask those questions because those are conspiracies. Instead, let's start with this. Antarctica is trending. Why? Well, because apparently flowers and grass are growing in Antarctica. Oh my goodness, flowers and grass are growing. Well, that must mean that there's climate change. So they can make a story so dumbed down like this, where people think actually nothing can grow in Antarctica. But of course, we know that things can grow in Antarctica, especially when our government is making them grow in Antarctica by design so that they could put stories like this out there. Because how else would a story get out there about flowers and grass growing in Antarctica unless they put it out there? Because if you ever tried to go to Antarctica and go near Antarctica, you'll be shot. You cannot go there, right? Just for the same reason we never see planes fly over Antarctica. Now, we can get into a debate about Antarctica, and everybody knows, obviously, that anything that we're told, I do not believe. And if you want to believe a certain thing about the shape of the Earth, or you want to believe about other things going on in Antarctica, those are discussions that can happen over on the website, uprisingrevival.com. But when we see a story like this is a very easy, deceitful way to work very stupid people into thinking that climate change is real. We could easily have this staged by our government, which is exactly what it is. I mean, do you see the types of set design they do on movies and things like that? You don't think that our government would go down there and put this nice little picture that looks like it was done by a high-ranking photographer? Hey, maybe it was done by Terry Richardson. Remember Terry? I covered Terry over the years. You know, the photographer for the stars. The photographer who takes all the pictures that these people keep offline, that they don't want anyone to ever see because they would all be killed if people found out what they were really doing. You know, Terry Richardson, he's the photographer for the elites and their islands and their getaways where they do all these disgusting acts for these poor children that they target. So maybe they sent Terry Richardson down to Antarctica to stage and photograph this because it looks like it was done by a professional photographer. Because, again, it was done by a professional photographer. So why would they do this? Well, they're doing this because this is just another way to convince stupid people that climate change is real. Now, again, for the millionth time, I'll tell you that their weather is being manipulated, and people should be looking at what's going on with all these hurricanes, and they should be looking directly at HAARP and at our government, who are using the weather to terrorize us, to wreck people out of their land so they could herd them into FEMA camps. And of course, they're using it so they could also push the climate agenda, which is your carbon footprint, which is human enslavement. Again, this topic doesn't seem to be catching on with enough people, and it needs to, because it is the enslavement agenda. Climate change is the enslavement agenda. So naturally, by telling people, oh, we all believe Antarctica, oh, it's so cold, nothing could ever grow in Antarctica. Well, in reality, how does anybody have photographs from Antarctica? Does anyone know a freelancer in Antarctica? Does anybody know how to get on the land there, since all the countries of the earth own the land there and will not let you on that land and will shoot you if you try to go on that land? Because clearly they're trying to hide something there. Now, is it an Arctic wall? Well, there's a lot of things that are being hidden in Antarctica. Lots of things. Like, I don't know, maybe certain giants and things like that. So there's all theories about what's going on in Antarctica. And when Antarctica is trending, those should be the topics we discuss, right? The Antarctic Treaty should be something we all discuss. How come all these countries who hate one another, supposedly, all have stake in the same land? It's almost like all the countries are working together to hide something from the people, right? Yeah, because that's what the Antarctic Treaty System really is. It's about hiding things. So the fact that they're revealing something from Antarctica is very, very funny because everything ties back to Antarctica in a sense, right? We're told the ice capsules are melting, and that's why this is happening. And they know they have to constantly beat this in. So again, you're going to hear this stuff day in and day out, like you hear in school when we went through the school system, right? Nobody was asking questions as to why you were learning the same thing in social studies every year. You're like, didn't I learn that last year? Like, oh yeah, well, we're relearning it, recapping. Well, why are you recapping? Oh, because we want to beat this fake history into your head. So you have a fake idea of what has happened in this world and a fake idea of who's responsible for all the bad things instead of the people who are really responsible for the bad things, right? They do the same thing here. Now we're at a point where Agenda 2030 is on the cusp here, Agenda 2025. So they need to beat this stuff into people's heads. So you're going to hear more and more stories about the climate, of course, but specifically about Antarctica, because they know that the illusion of Antarctica is like the North Pole, right? Santa Claus is there. I mean, Satan Claus, right? And we're all, oh, it's so cold. So if we show people pictures of things growing there, their brains are going to explode and say, oh my gosh, if we don't do something about this now because it's so strange and weird, my brain can't process it, we need to do something immediately because the whole world's going to melt. That's what things like this do. Obviously, these are all Photoshopped. These are obviously staged photographs of what's occurring in Antarctica, but the stupid people out there just cannot wrap their head around it. They don't even think for 1 second, where are the pictures coming from, right? They just think they're like, look, these pictures are viral of Antarctica. Oh, are they? They're viral from Antarctica. Who's living in Antarctica? Well, my brain doesn't think that far. So who took the picture? My brain doesn't think that far. So why is it being trending on Twitter? Why is it being forced out into the world? Oh, because there's an agenda behind it. Their brains can't think that far. Scanners moment, head explosion, kind of like my head exploded when I see hundreds of people dressed up as dogs, woofing and barking out in public and not being arrested for it or put in asylums. You know, that's what's happening with these people when you actually ask them questions about why this would be out there trending. So let's look at the story about Antarctica and why it's trending. The freezing continent is home to just two species of flowering plants, Antarctic hairgrass and Antarctic pearlwort. As it's mostly covered in ice and snow, there previously hasn't been much space left for the plants to grow. There are no trees or shrubs, and the plants that do not exist are limited to the South Orkney Islands, the South Shetland Islands, and along the western Antarctic Peninsula. However, as global temperatures continue to rise and ice in Antarctica continues to melt, researchers have found that plants on the continent are growing more quickly. Nicoletta Cannone from the University of Ice in Serbia, Italy, and her colleagues measured the growth of Antarctica's two native plants at a number of sites on Signy Island in the South Orkney Islands from 2009 to 2019. Homeowners, by the way, probably, right? Did anyone know this is a profession? They're measuring the plant growth in Antarctica from 2009 to 2019. This is apparently a job, and of course, this is not a real job. This is done by design to convince you that researchers are studying this stuff, so we must believe it, even though our eyes can tell us exactly what's going on, but we need them to tell us so that we can continue to change our lives to accommodate the grass that's growing in Antarctica. Yeah, sure. Sounds like a conspiracy, right? They say comparing the results with surveys from the previous 50 years, they found that sites had not only become more densely populated by plants, but that they had also grown faster each year as the climate got warmer. The results were staggering, with the Antarctic hairgrass growing as much in 2009 through 2019 in 10 years as it had in the entire 50 years from 1960 from 2009. So this is the type of stuff that they regurgitate, right? Nobody thinks anything about it. And they just go, oh, wow, there's no proof needed. There's no evidence needed just to tell you that some scientists apparently, who knows where they went to school, how they got this profession, how in the world they got access to do this. Nobody knows. These are not supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to just believe it because they tell you a scientist has apparently investigated because apparently in 1960, somebody was calculating the grass growing in Antarctica in 1960 all the way to 2009. And then in 2009, conveniently, somebody was hired to start calculating the grass growth in Antarctica for 10 years as the climate agenda is upon us, right? So who's the guy in 1960 who was doing this? I mean, was this, you know what I mean? I mean, who is he? Do we have a name? Oh, George Glass was doing it. Right, I forgot. It's always George Glass if it's not John Doe, because they're one and the same anyway, right? The Antarctic pearlwort moved faster, growing 5 times more in the periods from 2009 to 2019. So we have to take it for what it's worth, folks. So whenever they tell us, they put doctor in front, scientist in front, somebody studying something without anyone asking, who is the person studying? How do you even get this job, right? Can we get a real identity? And we'll find out the person's worth millions of dollars, I'm sure. And we'll say, how come we didn't know that we could have a job like that and make millions of dollars and calculate grass growth in Antarctica? Really didn't know that existed. That's because it never did exist. It doesn't exist, okay? It's made up. These are the types of stories they can make up to convince you that climate change is really occurring. And you might say to yourself, well, why would they pick somewhere and do something? Because why do you think they've picked the capsules in Antarctica? One, because you can't get there and you can't test it for yourself. And two, and people don't be like, oh, you can go there. You can't go there. What, you get close with an eye vision of the Arctic wall or unarctic wall? on a cruise ship and you can't go near it. Oh, why? Is it for our best interest? It's too cold. You shouldn't get up there and actually check it out. Oh, right, because the governments own that land because they want to hide something from the people because we live in a matrix, of course, right? So they use Antarctica because the illusion that's been put in our head of Antarctica. Nothing could grow there. It's Antarctica. It's so cold. I see something on the History Channel once in a while about Antarctica and how cold it is and how nobody can ever go across Antarctica, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So then you just automatically think when they show you a picture of flowers, beautiful flowers blossoming, that there's a problem going on with the climate. You would never think that the government would stage that, do you? I mean, they're so hell-bent on their agenda. Of course they're going to stage it. How else are they going to convince you without staging these things? The problem is that people don't realize the government is staging these things. And people don't realize why treaties like the Antarctic Treaty actually exist. Right? Just like the other treaty, the Balfour Declaration, which I cover over and over on the website over the years, exists. Right? They're like, what's the Balfour? I don't know. You want to find out what's wrong, what's going on, and how the Rothschilds own all the land in so-called Israel, which isn't real? Yeah, go look it up. Go find out why they do, or go to the website and find out. Because people don't ask questions what these treaties mean, why they exist, what they're hiding. They just go, Antarctica's trending. Oh my gosh, it's getting warm in Antarctica. The world must be ending. Oh my gosh, did you hear it hit 125 degrees in Death Valley this year? The climate change must be real. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, it's called Death Valley because it gets, deadly hot. I mean, really? Boy. So like I said, Terry Richardson probably took the pictures. If you don't know Terry Richardson, I'm going to look for that video and upload it on the website. It's a very good video, very important video. Terry Richardson's one of the photographers for the stars, of course. He has them hold up the 666 over their eyes. He's practically nude in his photos, and of course it's connected to Hunter S. Thompson and all the disgusting, disturbing acts. You might know Hunter S. Thompson. That's that movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which in that movie there's like this like kind of reddish thing that looks like blood. Oh, right, it is. That they drink and they get a high from. Yeah, so Hunter S. Thompson, yeah. So those types of things. Everything's connected, folks. I mean, this is how my mind works. Some people say it's a beautiful mind. Some people say it's a paranoid mind. Some people say I'm completely insane. They can say whatever they want. But you connect the dots on all these things, all these people, and all these situations. So I'm sure Hunter was sent down there to take the photographs because this was clearly staged. Nobody thinks of who took them, why they took them, whose front lawn is this, who's walking around there, how do you get access to walk around there? And why they get released, and then suddenly, why did the Twitter machine pick it up and make it viral? Oh, did 5,000 people tweet about it and it went viral? No, they make it go viral because they want you to see what's trending, so you click on it so they can brainwash you with it, okay? And if it isn't something that's an agenda, it's something really, really stupid or narcissistic that they'll trend so that you're distracted by it and make you care about something you shouldn't even care about. Oh, this celebrity is sick. Oh, this celebrity died. Oh, let me post things on my Twitter account all day about how much I was moved by their movie I, Robot or whatever they're in. How much I was moved by the performance they gave. I mean, just shut up and wake up, please, society. Antarctica, folks, can you believe it? There's grass growing sometimes there and flowers sometimes there. The world must be melting around us. We better stop breathing and wear masks outside. We better stay home before all those ice capsules melt. You'll never get down there. You'll never see it with your own eyes, but just trust the government that's telling you this, because they seem so trustworthy. They also, at the same time, want to tell you that men can have babies and they want to castrate your kids. So let's put all these things together, connect the dots, and realize what's going on here. Global enslavement is what's going on here, if you want to use the term global, if you catch my drift. So, ladies and gentlemen, please keep your blinders on and pretend that these things are just happening naturally and that these stories aren't fabricated. Don't ever, ever think that they could possibly be, because how could you ever think the government would be responsible for something like that? I mean, they're only hiring more IRS agents to come seize your goods and come to your home and arrest you because they care so much about you having money to buy food and water and whatever else you want to buy, for the betterment of humanity so they can launder it through Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, give me a break. Can you give me a break with these people and their mind games, their mind control tactics? How anybody at this point is still getting sucked into this machine is beyond me. I mean, this is the time to uprise against this, because this couldn't be more obvious. Everybody feels something's going on. Everybody feels something's going down, except for the really, really, really stupid people. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure you're all feeling the same way. At this point, let them all do what they're going to do. Stay off my property, stay away from my family. And if you want to poison yourself and you want to believe this stuff and enslave yourself, then go ahead. But the time, I think, has come where people need to snap out of it. If they haven't yet, then they're too far gone for any hope. But I'll continue my best to post and rant about these things. So sorry about this rant going off topic with Hunter S. Thompson. I mean, most of my videos, I just kind of go off of these are the things I want to discuss, and sometimes I'll write them down. Sometimes I'll just rant like we're on the phone with each other. This is more like ranting when I see this trending and I click and I just go, how are people buying this? How come nobody's asking questions about what they should be asking about Antarctica? And I just go off on a tangent like this. And sometimes it's better. Everybody, I think, can vent sometimes through me venting. Or at least we're all thinking the same way, I would assume. And not in a hive mind, of course. We're all thinking the same thing because we could all see through their bullcrap, their trending bullcrap. I thank you all for being here. Hope to see you over on the website, uprisingrevival.com. And please make sure you sub to my other channel below if you haven't yet. Hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you as always and your families.